Well, good morning, my friends. You know, I don't even know where to start today's video because there are so many things going through my head that I don't know which one to focus on. Okay, now to focus on what today's video really is all about. And I'm going to say this. If you guys haven't called me crazy up to this point, you definitely will call me crazy after today's video. I find things, I see things, and I don't know if they're doable or not doable. But I see something and I possibly see an opportunity, or like, yeah, there's something in there, I just don't know exactly what. A piece of a root from a bush of some type. Don't know what it is. Really doesn't matter to me. But I had all these stubs and twigs coming up all over the place on this. All over. I'm sure that all of this was root system. I'm thinking that where the growth of this was going up from this, I'm not sure. It could have been that really the root system is below this, and this was just something that died in the center, that came up but the center had died, and it was just sprouting up close to the ground. I know it had to be close to the ground for something like this. So this is probably the way that it was. It was probably rooted up from below this point, and it had died close to the ground. Somebody cut it up, and that's what I came across. Now it has a large void over here. I'm going to mount this, and I've been looking at it and trying to figure out what am I going to do with it. So I don't have any way to mount it over here. I don't want to cut this. I want to leave this as natural as I can. I don't have a flat area here where I can leave this alone and sit it. I don't want to bring it to the disc sander and just chew it up. I want to treat this like some sort of a bowl, a platter, I don't know. Whatever is in here, that's kind of what I'm aiming at. Now, I've brought this up to the lathe and trying to figure out how I'm going to mount it and create a tenon on this side so I can reverse it and gouge up this part because of this large cavity. Gouge it up as much as I can and leaving out what I think. I say what I think because what I think might not be the best way. So as I'm gouging, I will make some adjustments and some decisions as to where I stop with the piece and see what comes up out of this. The way that I figured that I would mount it on a lathe is actually just going to be a friction fit. Now, I don't advise you do this. It's going to be there. I'm going to run the lathe very slow between centers and very carefully make my cuts over here, true this up, and make my tenon so I can reverse it. Bring it to the lathe. Ah, forgot to plug in the camera and it went out on me, but getting pretty close. Got a little bit more to go here, and I want to make sure that I come all the way to this edge, so I'm going to keep it going until I clear up this whole bottom and make this whole piece flat. Okay, got a good tenon, and like I said, I'll figure out exactly what I'm going to be doing with this, or whether if I want to round this over a little bit and actually keep the edges off from the table and just start off a little base here, which is probably the area that I'm going to go. I'll probably just round this over to the outside a little bit, and it will catch up to this piece right over here. But time to flip it and see how I'm going to do for the rest of this. And once I get in here, I won't finalize it. I'll leave it a little bit proud, so I can probably do one more reverse before finalizing the foot. But I want to see what is going to be developing out of this piece of wood before I commit to a lot of time to the back, or even to this area right here. Now this is going to be a lot of beating up because of all these end grain pieces that I'm going to be hitting smack on. So, I have to play with caution. Now what I'd like to do, and I think that's going to work, if I get my circle going up from this point right here, okay, this whole area here is not going to be turned. So it will leave this area as part of a natural edge over here. And I think that's going to be an added piece, a bonus to the piece, so to speak. Now, I don't know where it even hit. Now this already gives me a little bit of a center, but it's not going too bad, so I'm just going to bring my tool rest in there a little bit closer, make sure that it doesn't hit the outsides, and I'm going to continue with doing the way I'm doing, and I think that's going pretty well. Always got to keep going with your tool rest in there. Keep it close. Got a little bit to go here. It's going to maybe hit this edge a little bit prematurely, so I might have to stop it a little bit sooner than I wanted to. Okay, that's not too bad. I can go out as long as I'm not pulling up from this point right here And that is pretty much the top, or at least not cut anymore on this area right here, so I don't lose this area completely. Everything that I'm doing will be towards this side, which is the highest points of this piece. Now, I'm going to speed this up so I can get a cleaner cut through here and to this outside edge. I'm going to bring it up to 640 RPMs, and that's just enough to get a much cleaner cut. And I got a good grip, and it's not really that far off balance. So let's see that, and maybe even speed it up one more notch. Tool rest a little bit closer to this outside edge where I'm working at, and flare this out a little bit. If I avoid, can come out all the way up to the outside of this cut and this cut right here, which will also include this one. It will start off on this one. I think it will be a nicer shape, so gonna work on that. Good, and that's the start of that. I think that looks pretty awesome, and definitely I will take the outside and I will contour this shape a little bit. I don't have a lot of thickness left over here, probably a little less than what I want to, so rather than flipping it, I'm going to take the tool rest to the back of it and start shaping this up a little bit and see what I come up with. I'm gonna have to change tool rests. Not the best of situations here. Oh, there we go. Well, bringing you the camera up on this view, see if you can get a little bit of what I'm doing back here. Okay, from this point, I'm not so sure. I don't want to take much from this point out, but it can come up a little ways. Okay, I got some more. Going up to the next speed and check it out. I'm not going to commit, but don't have anything speeds in between, so gonna check it here. I can afford to take more at this point right here. But it has to come out to a flare so I can keep this nub right here. I still have some room, but I can't keep going on this angle or else I'm going to be cutting the outside of the bark completely. So I have to kind of make this sort of OG over here, and that's what I'm working with. I can still go, I'm right at the edge here. I really don't have room to go much further in, even though I got some bark here. And I want to maintain a little bit of this bark, but right here I got some stupid saw cuts that really are an eyesore. But if I cut up to this one, I think I'll be okay with this one that's left over. Okay, that cut is gone. I'm gonna let this one go. Although, how far am I? By the time I get to this one, I really don't want to do that. I would lose all this bark going through here. So I'm going to call that good before I ruin it. I'm gonna go back to the front and finalize this a little bit. better. Still have a sharp edge here, which is the flat cut from this piece right here that's given me that. And I'm gonna make a mark on my tool rest so I can reference to which area I need to pass it on. So I will be right from there to there. Okay, that's not bad. Gonna bring you around. Now, I think it's a mighty fine looking piece again. Very pale in color, but with all these little knots going through here, I think it looks rather nice. I'm ready to start sanding this baby. I still got a little bit of that flat piece here from that cut, from this right here. And as tempted as I am to take that off, there's no way in the world. Now, that's an area that I can definitely make up a little bit of epoxy and add some of the darker brown pieces of bark, whatever I got, that will simulate the rest of this. And I would hate to do that and ruin the look of the piece, but this cut in here is pretty deep, and I think it filled up would be a much better look than what I got here. So I'm gonna mix up a little amount of epoxy. Now, I don't want the epoxy to show up. I want the epoxy just to be as a filler and hold it all together, and then actually put some brown wood chips right on the top of the epoxy, giving it a little bit of texture and making it look like it's still part of the bark. Now, I don't know how well I can do that. I really don't even have some good shavings. If I had a piece of this bark, I could literally cut it and bring it in there. Well, didn't show you much of a repair, but let me bring you in there and show you what I did do. Not the best repair in the world, but it's a lot better than that saw cut that I had going through there. And I do still have some shiny, so I'll probably apply to the whole thing maybe some lacquer, and give the whole piece that kind of shine. Now there is no bark on this little piece right here either, but that could have been very well missing right from the beginning. So at least this doesn't have that saw cut going all the way through here, and it's got all the pieces of bark fitted in there, which complements it pretty well. So I'm gonna call that another good good patch. Now there's going to be a lot of sanding still with this piece. So, but I'm going to let that dry up a little bit, that epoxy, so nothing flies off on me on this. And I know that running my finger over it before it's cured dulls it up and it takes out the shine out of it, but I think it will still look like epoxy when all said and done. But I'm gonna do that, and that does dull it down significantly, so at least it will have the same tone as the rest of the piece. Not be something that's going to be sticking out like a sore thumb. Okay, this had a little while to dry, and I'm going to continue sanding at this point. I've done the 80 grit, but I'm going to pass it one more time out here. It doesn't look too bad. Well, it's not too bad. I mean, you know, I got a couple of little marks on here, but you know, I think that at this point it's good for a sanding seal. Well, I've applied 2 coats of sanding sealant. I've wet sanded it with 1200 grit, and it's dry. At this point, I'm ready to do my first application of wax on this. I think it's time to turn this thing around, finish off the bottom. You can see I got quite a mess over here.